The following production is rated S for satire. We are not professionals, nor are we clinically depressed. We do, however, suffer from long bouts of indecision and stagnation. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back to the 29th episode of Take That Depression Project CC arc. I'm Spencer, and this is Kyler.
Hello.
Kyler, how's your week been so far?
You can see, everybody else can't see. We are in the process of selling our house.
Let's go!
It might be a little bit more echoey, but we have like everything off the walls in here. It's naked in here.
The acoustics are crazy.
It's been a wild ride. We got pre-approved last weekend sometime. Monday we went to look at a house. And then Wednesday we put in an offer on the house that was contingent on us selling our house. And then we need to be listed by Sunday, which is tomorrow as we're recording this. So it was in the span of 7 days, we went from a little bit over 7 days, probably a week and a half, not house hunting at all and hoping that we could start house hunting sometime this year to here's your new house, you need to sell your old house. So we've been just ripping stuff off the walls, we've been repairing all the holes that we put into place over the years. It's been wild. The week has gone so fast. The work was fine. Work week was fine. It was kind of long, kind of dragged on. But yeah, this at home, it's just been a whirlwind. So
I believe a lot of work to be done. I remember it was I don't know, a few weeks ago, it seems like maybe a month. You're yeah, we're going to start house hunting sometime this year. Yeah. And then it was 2 weeks later, think we're going to close on a house. Oh my God.
Yeah, so we're putting in an offer. Yeah, it was because the pipe dream was by the girl's first birthday, which is in November. We wanted to be in a new house. That was in crazy never land. We would be in our new house for her first birthday. And then we again got the pre-approval. A few days later, looked at a house and we were poof. Well, we looked at a few houses. To be fair, it wasn't just the first house we saw we bought. We looked at a few houses. And then it was just yes, it's twice as big as where we are now, which we definitely need. With 2 kids, current house is definitely feeling really cramped. But yeah, it's just fast. It all came fast. It's all going fast. Everybody's at each other's throats here. So bear with us. No, yeah, it's been fun. It's just, yeah, it's crazy to see the house that you brought both your kids home to looking so empty. And then knowing that you're gonna leave that place and go to someplace else.
Bittersweet, I'm sure.
Yeah. But yeah, this next house is gonna be the kid's childhood home. That's gonna be when you're what's your childhood home, and you go right back to that place. This next place is gonna be that for them. So we are so stoked to get it set up. And yeah, we can't wait to continue our adventures over there. So yeah.
I couldn't be more happy for you guys.
Yeah. We're not moving too far. We're 2 blocks away. So
which is also the dream. Can you imagine moving out of state or hassles like that?
Yeah, I moved back home from Colorado. Yeah, it was load up a U-Haul trailer and drive 13 hours.
Oh my God.
U-Haul trailer towing my car. It was just 13 hour.
Just put me in the trailer with a little bed and that's me, man. I'll wake me when we get there.
Yeah, it was just me. Yeah, it was a wild ride, but we made it. And yeah, so to only move 2 blocks away now is definitely what a dream. Should make that moving process go a little bit smoothly, but we'll see. Sorry for rambling on there. Spencer, how was your week?
It was really good. Work also drug on very slowly. I think I'm on day 2 off.
Yep.
Day 2 off of 4.
Yeah.
I've been struggling to stay awake, but I'd call it relaxing, and I'm excited to do some recording with my boy.
Yep. As always, yeah, it's definitely a fun time when we get together and just goof for a little bit.
With that, do you think we get to her?
Yeah. This episode, I think last episode we promised we'd bring you all the things that are written in stone, that are set in stone, that we definitely want for our universe. This is that episode. I'm sure we'll have many of these that as we kind of solidify what the goal is, what we want.
If something changes down the road, episode 40, be like, I never said that, check the tapes. And then someone brings up episode like 4, and they're like, you said it right there. No, that was no.
Different podcast. different Spencer said that. Different Spencer.
That was the old me.
That was the old me. Yeah, for sure. But do you want to take away? What's your first set in stone here?
First set in stone is the NCU.
Nope.
Almost.
You're halfway there.
CNU.
Nope.
CRU.
Yeah.
I keep, just for clarification, I'm very bad with abbreviations. I keep saying NCR, which is the New California Republic.
Yeah.
And that's not what we're doing.
Nope. We're not making Fallout.
So it takes me a little bit every time I'm like, the NCR, and he's like, no. So the Corpse Retrieval Unit.
Yep. Yeah.
I said that on the back of the book type stuff.
Yep.
They're going to be a big part of it. That's going to be the big start, I think, for our hero and where it starts. That one is on the table.
Yeah, definitely on the table. I think that, again, I don't know. We'll cut this out if I can't say this, but that's kind of like almost like slave labor in our universe. So that's going to kind of be like convicts, things like that, where it's not like, hey, I want to go work for these people. It's like you either work for these people or you're going to spend a lot of time being very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So it's...
Prisoners are expendable, so you go clear out these dungeons, these areas, and it's like, oh, we lost like 4 guards. Yeah. We'll find some new ones.
Yeah. So that it feels like a very, like a good place. Again, every kind of hero has to have their like come up story. So I think that having that be a group of people that pulls from those kind of like quote unquote lessers to have the grow up, glow up that is
rags to riches.
Yeah, a hero story I think is very, very, very cool. Then I think we'll move on to one of my set in stones. And this one I was fighting for ever since it got mentioned. And that is that the ruling class, whatever, politics is a theocracy. I think that that's very an interesting like governmental structure, whereas like nothing is above God, or whatever entity or entities they may believe in. We don't have that set in stone yet. But
your only crime is going against God, whatever that may be. They're the judge, jury, executioners.
Yeah. It could be something that's just completely unrelated to anything, but it was bad news or something that they set up, and so now you're in jail. It's, to me, I love that kind of impunity that I feel like many of the people that kind of live in that light, like the really high religious people, they can just kind of do whatever, man. It feels like that there, even in today's like society, there are so many people that just feel like they can just get away with whatever. And that's not, it's not localized specifically to theocracy. There's a whole class of people that are also doing that has nothing to do with a theocracy at all. But that to me feels very much like that. It's almost like a dictatorship where it's like, I am at the top, but you're not answering to a human.
Yeah.
You're answering to an idea of something that a human had, which is like even crazier to me. And so it's fun. I think that will leave us with a lot of like story opportunities where it's something that either is like could be so abhorrent, but to them it's just so natural because that's what their quote unquote deity or deities said or mandated or whatever, and like that's just normal for them. So to give us the opportunity to kind of have that kind of freedom is very cool, because again, you're not answering to a human and what some human said, you're answering to something that a human I guess technically in like a fantasy world it could be an actual god. But
it gives a lot of room, I feel like, to play around with. Like,
Yeah.
again, being a fantasy world, I feel like there's so many directions we can go with this and make it in so many different ways.
Yeah. But again, I think Theocracy is easy on the table for me. I absolutely love Theocracies, and again, the doors it opens for us.
There's plenty of games out there, different animes, different stuff like that, and I always enjoy those kind of like portrayal. That's not a word.
Portrayal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Of those kind of things.
Yeah. It's just definitely over the top and silly. It not inherently, but it allows us to be over the top and silly. In good or negative ways, however we kind of deem fit for the story in that moment.
We're the gods of the story.
How about, what's your next on the table?
Dungeons.
Yeah, it's got to be.
I
think that's core to the story that we're telling.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this will make it into the final cut either, but I think we've been going back and forth on how much of the story takes place in a dungeon, and that's how on the table it is. Is that you and I have talked about the whole story taking place in a dungeon, so that you can't separate the dungeon from the story we're trying to tell. Even if we like cut it down to like 50% of the stories in a dungeon, there's still going to be a dungeon there, and that may not necessarily take form of like how you know and think about dungeons, but that feeling, the vibe, the whatever of kind of like underground claustrophobic, I think will always be there. And again, I think that also gives us kind of freedom to make it not that. You could come into a dungeon room that is so vast that it feels like you're outside, where there's not the claustrophobia happening. And I think that kind of subversion of expectations is really cool.
I'm very excited. Even before we've talked about like dungeons and stuff and just like pre-alpha like story, I've been thinking of like biomes and different things, and like I think it's like Theocracy. I think this is another thing, like when you think dungeon crawlers, dungeons in general, you have like an idea, and I'd like to take that idea and then just kind of make it our own and expand a bit.
Like I don't know if it'll make it in, or whatever, but like at room or area of the dungeon that is so big that it like houses a mountain. Like that kind of like, oh, we have to climb this mountain now. It's like, what do you mean climb this mountain? You're underground in a dungeon. But it's like, that's what it is. And then you
push this door open or this thing opens up and you're like, what?
It allows for that, and I think that for me, subversion of expectation is one of the coolest things that you can do as a creator. Is like lay out all of the stepping stones for it to be like up until season 3, it's only ever been like actual dungeon stuff, where you think of like the brick walls and the kind of leaky, the torches on the side walls and the sconces, whatever. And then like season 3, episode 1, the first thing they walk into is a mountain in the dungeon, and it's like, whoa!
No, expectations just flipped upside down. It's like, what are we doing?
That I really enjoy doing that as a storyteller, and the kind of twists and turns. I think that, again, dungeons are so core.
I think that'll be I'm just going to go ahead and say will be a big focus, a big part of our storytelling. How exactly, still figuring it out, working out the details here, but dungeons definitely on the table.
My next on the table, and this kind of goes hand in hand with dungeons, is that dungeon exploration in whatever form that takes, and that is a main source of income for many people. So like the actual people that the CRU goes in and like pulls out are people that, and this may not be exactly it, but it's close to it. They are people that are employed to go into the dungeon and get artifacts or maybe natural resources. They're like iron shows up more plentifully in the dungeon, or only shows up in the dungeon. So then they need to go down and get that. But also the dungeon's dangerous, so that if they get injured, then they need to send a CRU down to pull them out. Whatever.
I think we even talked about, I can't remember which episode, first episode, maybe it was second episode, but back of the book, dungeon crawling, dungeon exploration, whatever the term you want to use for it, is a booming economic thing worldwide. There's careers in it, that is the number one leading business. You just your neighbor's hitting the dungeons again, whether he's looking for treasure or mining for ore or slaying. I feel like there's guilds everywhere. There's what do you call it, bodyguards, mercenaries, that kind of thing. So it's
swords for hire. Sell swords. It's anything that kind of has to do with that. Again, just making money. The dungeon is a source of money. And I think to caveat off that also, I don't know if we can talk about this yet, that dungeons kind of spawn cities. If you find a dungeon entrance, generally that will be the genesis of a city around it to then get in there, get its natural resources, get its artifacts. So I think that's an easy also include that by and large, if you're in a city, it's got a dungeon that people are working at. It's almost like kind of small town America where they're kind of built around big manufacturing plants.
Or this is a quarry town. This is a fisherman town. This is a whatever. This is a dungeon city.
And that's kind of just what everything is. For the most part, there'll obviously be the outliers that aren't that, but you can pretty well wager that if you're in a city, there's a dungeon nearby, and you could probably get a job doing something in the dungeon.
I think that covers that.
I think that is our... I want to leave that whole silence in there, but I might not.
I think at this point. I think those are our 4 things that we had set in stone. Again, that's one of those things we like to kind of hit you guys and us with some ideas and kind of talk about what ifs, and then kind of lay down the work. And then I feel like me and him have so many spaghetti thoughts and ideas about what if that set in stone episode gives us forces our hand. It's all right, we decision making time, and it's this and this is in stone. And then we look at our board of stone and then say, all right, let's start making our spider webs and
who touches what, where, when, why. I definitely really like that kind of push and pull of the what ifs into the stone, what ifs into stone, what ifs into stone. And that allows you guys, if you feel so inclined, to give us any input. If you like an idea, hate an idea, whatever, that's all something that we can internalize and take and see what we can do with. I definitely... if you have any input on even after a set in stone episode, if you're you guys should not have made that set in stone, let us know. Or if you absolutely love something that we set in stone, also let us know.
There's a vision, but visions change. And I would love to see any kind of community feedback and how that changes, and be like, man, that was a really good idea from user I Like Milkshakes 2022 who said this. And then so we're like, boop, 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 boop.
There's the only thing better than 2 people working together is 3 people working together, and the only thing better than 3 people is 4 people,
and so on and so forth.
Exactly. The more people that we can get working on this, and not working, but even just, again, feedback. If you hate something, love something, let us know, to kind of focus what we got going on. Because, I think these set in stone episodes will be really, like you said, these are going to be the fundamental building blocks moving forward, and the story to build kind of what we got going on. So if there's anything here that you hate or love, definitely tell us.
Yeah.
So that we can focus on more.
We can chisel
change.
down that block a little bit.
Exactly.
We'll just fit you right in the corner then.
I think that's my main takeaway here. Definitely a community project. If you feel so inclined, you definitely don't have to do anything, obviously.
There's no job to be done.
No. Just listen to two silly guys ramble on for 20, 30 minutes about something that they enjoy is way more than enough, and something that I never expect anybody to do. So thank you guys for doing that.
Yeah. I'm going to start trying to be a little more active on our social medias and start getting out some of the questions. Yeah. I'd like to get some questions and feedback around, and me and Kyler will talk about that a little bit, and hopefully get you guys hyped up a bit. Yeah.
And again, I think it's easy to, all of our what ifs, just post them up and see if we get anything back there, and all the set in stones post up and see if we get anything back.
Yeah, if I remember right, I think our currency is going to need a name.
Yeah. That's Goldie McGoldface or something like that. That'll be the number one.
Is that what you want in there? If you don't want that, please tell us.
Save us from ourselves. We're so bad with names. I thank you guys. Can't thank you enough. A little bit of a shorter one. I think these set in stone ones will be a little bit shorter. We don't really get to let our brains run free because this is just facts of what it is. But a bit of a shorter one. Thank you guys again for coming along with us. And if you don't have anything else, awesome. As we always love to say, stay safe out there.
And don't get mugged.
If you are struggling, please, please, please reach out to someone or dial 988 to get connected with someone at the National Suicide Hotline. You do not have to go it alone.